What's a cheat code in life? Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. I wish you a pleasant viewing experience. Story 1. Several times in life, I've cold called a company to confirm my interview time. I didn't have one prior to my call, but in their confusion and inability to even find my resume, I've managed to secure an interview about 4 out of 5 times. Twice I've gotten the job. Story 2. Smiling is fudge magic. You can hear a smile through the phone, and of course, people can see it on your face. People often return a smile with a smile, which spreads positivity. Smiling can actually make you happier, which is a nice feedback loop to be in. Fake it till you make it. Smiles and confidence will open doors for you in life. Story 3. When my daughter was little and still believed Band-Aids cured things, one time she had a belly ache, so I put one on her belly, and it made her feel better. Power of placebos. Story 4. When I was in my old 500-person building, I kept a stack of papers on my desk. When I was bored or got tired of sitting down, I'd get up, grab my stack of papers, and walk around. I called them my walking papers and did this for months. Got a lot of head nods and not one question the entire time. People always assumed I was on an important mission, but nope, not in the least. P.S. Worked on the executive floor wing too. Story 5. Take a $1 bill and flip it over. Now tape a $5 bill and tape it to the end of the upside-down single with as little tape as possible to make it secure. Now feed the $5 bill into a change machine. The coin machine reads the 5, gives you quarters, then reads the upside-down single, rejects that, and boom, you got yourself a felony. Story 6. Niceness gets you everywhere. I get free shoot from being nice. And no, it's not because I'm a cute girl, because I'm not. I'm an overweight, balding man. People respond to niceness. I've befriended the Comcast customer support person. I've befriended the most disliked, crotchety person in our office. I get special treatment at my cafeteria because I treat the service staff like actual human beings. I get fees waived because I ask nicely. Be nice. It costs little and is worth a lot. Story 7. Once you unlock not giving a fudge about other people's thoughts, you basically double your mana indefinitely. Story 8. If you have no complaints about your food service staff at a restaurant, ask to see the manager and pay a compliment and a thank you about the server host staff. Usually people want to see a manager to complain, and a compliment is nearly always welcome. I've gotten countless free drinks, appetizers, chips off my bill, all for just making a polite comment to management. Edit, thanks for the Reddit gold, kind stranger. Story 9. I had a professor in college who, while lecturing, suddenly let out a huge fart. Without pausing, he turned his head as if talking to someone behind him, said Gesundheit, and continued lecturing as if nothing had happened. It immediately diffused any potential awkwardness and embarrassment, and I vowed to use the same strategy if the same thing ever happened to me in front of a large crowd of people. Story 10. Not a cheat code, but an Easter egg. If you ask someone if they know all the words to "In a Little Teapot," around 80 of the people you ask will start singing it. Half of those will do the gestures. Story 11. If you tuck a chicken's head under its wing and wave the chicken in a circle, it will automatically fall asleep. It's not a very good cheat code, but it's still a cheat code to get you sleeping chickens. Story 12. Doing your own research, especially on the important stuff. You would be amazed about the bad information people use to make life choices. Answer. When doing your own research, don't search for things that agree with you. Instead, search for claims against your position. Consider the bias of your sources, but don't immediately reject something just because of the source. CNN and Fox News both spin things in different directions, but that doesn't mean either of them are complete lies all the time. Story 13. The correct response to any compliment is thank you. You can then follow it up with a comment if you'd like to continue the conversation. If someone likes your dress, thank you, it has pockets. If someone compliments your art, thank you, I've been practicing. If someone asks if you're a professional singer because you have a good singing voice, thank you, I just sing for fun. Not only does it make you seem confident and self-assured, it tells them that they are right. That's a friendly thing to do. This even works if you don't believe the compliment. Saying, "Oh no, I'm ugly," when someone compliments your appearance, not only tells them that they're wrong, it makes you think of yourself as ugly. A better answer would be, "Thank you, I really appreciate that, and I don't always believe it, so hearing that from you helps." Story 14. I am an assistant teacher in a preschool. Asking if kids can use their sitting muscles and listening muscles during circle time makes the kids want to show me how strong they are. Story 15. Compliment your children with, "You are a hard worker," and not "You're smart." Studies show that kids who think they're hard workers outperform kids who think they're smart. Story 16. You don't have to always give away the recipe. By that I mean don't over-explain yourself. If you can do something, 9-10 times it's okay to simply say, unfortunately, I'm not able to do that, can't swing it this time, etc. You don't have to go on and on about why, or make up reasons and list them off. Over-explaining just ends up looking more suspect than simply being clear and concise. Story 17. When someone says something true, say you're right, not I know. It'll make them feel better, and you've still shown everyone how awfully clever you are. Answer. And the opposite of that is the Socratic method. When someone says something you think is wrong, ask them questions to see why they believe. There's two possible outcomes. They end up explaining it via some contradiction or ridiculous assumption, and the belief probably was wrong. And getting them to explain it increases the chances they'll actually change their mind. They actually do explain it. It makes sense, and I learned something new. Either way, it's important to remember that a good definition of rational is trying to prove yourself wrong. If we want to make smart choices and have accurate beliefs, we have to challenge ourselves and at least try to plant substance out all the wrong beliefs before they become dumb choices. Story 18. The remain silent dialogue option is useful, even if you have to scroll down to find it. It can keep you from failing or getting locked out of certain quest lines. Story 19. If any website offers a percentage coupon code like 10% off, try higher values like 20% off, they often have them. Story 20. Ask questions about everything. Ask people about themselves. Be open about stuff you don't understand and ask questions about that. When you forget someone's name, own up to it and just ask them. I am amazed at how many people won't acknowledge even a tiny amount of ignorance or won't show honest curiosity about something, can't admit they've forgotten something they feel is important, and won't ever ask for help. Guys, your life becomes so much easier if you just drop the fudge ego and ask. Answer. This has been my biggest challenge. Growing up, I was always the smart kid, and my identity felt tied to inherently knowing things or being able to infer things that my peers didn't. Then I went to university, and I think I missed out on a lot of academic knowledge, friendships, professional contacts, because my default was to not ask questions. Someone would use a weird acronym, and I would just nod along, trying to remember to Google it later so I wouldn't look like an idiot. It still doesn't come naturally to me, but now that I'm working, I work very hard to engage in conversations more often. Story 21. I have a heated throw blanket in my living room. In the winter, I wrap my coat up in it, crank up the heat, and in a few minutes, my coat is toasty warm so I can brave the coldest day. Story 22. Get a credit card like Amex Blue that has 3 or 6 cash back at groceries. Buy all your items at grocery store. I'll use Kroger as an example. You can buy normal groceries, gift cards, Amazon, Delta, Chim, McDonald's, whatever, and get the cash back on that deal. Then if you time it with their 40 Wars fuel rewards, you can save 1 gallon off gas up to 35 gallons. Altogether, the math works out to being 12 of 15 off pretty much everything ERC. Answer. For Canadians abusing PC Optimum points at Shoppers Substances, Mart is similar. Go to one on a weekend when they have their 20x the points at promos and just buy things you would usually buy at prices you would usually pay or less, adding up to the minimum purchase of $75. No need to go crazy. Just make this your usual time for stocking up on non-perishables, toilet paper, paper towel, etc., pills, ibuprofen, cold meds, etc., and other shoot you can keep until you need it. Then go to their point values are doubled, promos, and reap what you sowed. I've gotten 4 Xbox One wireless controllers at no cost by doing this. Story 23. You can borrow almost all of your textbooks from the library as a college student because of modern book rental agreements most colleges have. WorldCat allows you to be linked to almost any library in America, and all you have to do is find your book in the system and fill out a request form at a library, and it should be there in a week. I've saved probably $2,000 doing this in my first 2 years of college. Story 24. I cannot overstate how much dressing well and being well-groomed will impact your life. It'll drop the difficulty by 2 or 3 levels. No joke. People will treat you vastly differently. The opposite is also true. Answer, I did this but took it a step further, got my hideously misaligned teeth fixed, got braces as an adult, highly recommended if you never had it sorted as a kid, and holy shoot, did the money spent pay for itself in no time. Think about it. The less resistance there is to a person wanting to make eye contact with you, the longer and more in-depth your engagements will be with those people, and the more confident you are in turn. This can lead to better jobs, promotions, etc. Edit. For those asking, I was 27. Got them off when I was 28, about 18 months total. Full train track style braces, though I did pay a little extra for ceramic braces on the top row. They have a white appearance, so are a little more camouflaged. No one really cared when I had them on, other than the occasional person who would inquire because they were thinking about getting them too. Total cost about 6,000 AUD. I'm 35 now, and yep, I still look awesome. More edit. Yeah, probably should have mentioned it's more of a pay to win than a cheat code, but this actually does create a real sense of pride and accomplishment for the money spent. Story 25. When married, don't stop treating your significant other like you did when you were trying to win them over. It is a great way to show them you're still as infatuated with them as you were when you first met. Answer. Been with my wife for 12 years, married for 8, and got 3 kids. I hit on her constantly. I think it helps a lot, but it helps more knowing what you want and what they want. When you work together as a team and take that approach, it tends to work better than constantly chasing the butterflies from the early days. I would gladly trade butterflies for being content and comfortable any day of the week. Story 26. Pause. Like wait. When asked a question or engaging in idle conversation and someone is speaking, do not immediately begin your reply when they stop speaking. They usually aren't done. And in the case of questions, most people, and finished, and if you give them time, they usually provide take answer to the question as well. So yeah, listen as well. Story 27. Under-promise and over-perform. Say you'll achieve less than you think you will, and then do more, and everyone will be impressed. Works well at a job. Story 28. If you're genuinely pleasant to be around and you show up when it counts, people will let you get away with a lot of slacking off. Story 29. Also, people like talking about themselves. When you meet someone, just ask them questions about their lives or the things they've done. If you have enough questions, you won't ever run out of things to talk about during the conversation, and they walk away feeling so heard. Plus, then you know more about them, and next time you see them, you will have even more to talk about or follow up on. Hey, last time I saw you, you were mentioning this thing at your job. How did that go? Etc. Story 30. Faking confidence usually leads to actually being more confident. I love the phrase fake it till you make it. It's incredible how much success is a byproduct of just acting confident about whatever you are doing. Answer. I was planning on asking for a raise later that day, and luckily a very belligerent customer came in who was not going to be allowed in. Really had to stand my ground. Stood up tall, made eye contact, and flatly told her no. Had to do a stare down for a moment before she gave up and stormed out. I'd never had to be like that with a customer before, and was internally shaking in my boots. My boss was standing behind me the whole time watching how I'd handle it, and once it was over, patted me on the back and said I'd done exactly what I was supposed to, and she was impressed. Got the raise. Story 31. To seem charming, all you have to do a lot of the time is to be an engaged listener. You don't need an amazing sense of humor to be able to lay on the compliments or regale people with stories. Just listen to other people in a way that shows you are interested and not only waiting for your turn to talk. Make eye contact. Don't interrupt them. Don't turn the conversation to be about you. Ask good questions. Edit. I just want to add, as per many comments here, that being engaged listener is not the same as being a sort of conversational doormat where you have to allow people to drone on and on about things that don't interest you, annoy you, offend you, or drain you. Merely suffering through an encounter is pretty much the opposite of what I'm talking about. It's about letting yourself be interested in and learn from other people and not focus so much on feeling like you have to be an entertainer. And being an engaged listener is really the opposite of the person who just listens and never wants to talk about themselves. You are putting yourself into the conversation with your interested responses. You are guiding it to places you find interesting. Just suffering through boring conversations is not engaged listening. Story 32. If you admit you're wrong and make changes to whatever it is that you're wrong about, people will respect and appreciate you more. Unfortunately, this requires the swallow a pill patch installed. Without this, you will be incapable of being a civil person. Answer. Not always. I have a policy of being accountable for my role in any miscommunication or conflict. It's amazing how often that is taken as me being at fault, rather than as me admitting my contribution to the issue. Dishonest or self-unaware people will frequently exonerate themselves completely the second someone else admits any wrong, even if they were an equal or often bigger contributor to the problem. This goes doubly true in workplaces, where the perception will be that the person who admitted any wrongdoing was the guilty party. Those situations can paradoxically lead to the honest person, the person admitting their role, getting a bad reputation. Not advocating against honesty and personal accountability, just saying it's important to be aware of the risks associated with it because these things will happen and it's less painful if you anticipate it as a possibility. Story 33. Act like you belong. In any situation, it will change your life. Also, I found that you become what you pretend to be, so be good. Story 34. Just be nice, particularly to people in the service industry. Your job, your personal interactions, even your calls into customer service will go 100 easier if you're just nice to people and recognize that they're probably just trying to do their job, not screw you over. Answer: 100 agree. People in customer service jobs, e.g. the ones answering the phone to irate customers, get a lot of flack whilst trying to help customers out. If you're nice, amiable on the phone, they'll be more likely to try to help you out, rather than doing the minimum possible or even going out of their way not to help you, all whilst working within their remit as a customer services rep. Story 35. Use the word soon instead of later with your loved ones, or if you are trying to form a new connection with someone. It shows you are interested in talking, but currently busy with something. E.g., talk to you soon. Edit. This doesn't apply to all the scenarios. And it's not creepy or serial killery if you follow Rule 1 and 2 in dating. That's another cheat code in the game of life. Edit 2. What is Rule 1 and 2? Story 36. If you are punctual, smartly dressed, and quite friendly, you can actually get pretty far in most jobs without being that good at anything or trying very hard. Answer: add to that honest. I learned that if you don't know something, better not bullshit the other person in case they know you are bullshitting them. I prefer to be honest and say, I don't know, I have to check, or something in that manner. Also, boasting about your mad skills is never really helpful most of the time. I work in an office environment, and usually when I answer people's questions and find answers, they always ask me how I can remember all that. I am very honest with that and show them how to look for the answer or give them tricks to pinpoint their problems. I don't know how to help text to a button in Word. I just know where to look for something like that. Story 37. If you're bald and shave your head, you'll be mistaken for an angry skinhead, and panhandlers won't ask you for money or cigarettes. Story 38. If you work Monday, Friday, spend a small amount of time on Sunday afternoon, evening sorting out your lunch for the week. I batch cook a pot of something and portion it out into 5 containers. It saves a ton of money, it's usually healthier, and it saves time having to make something quickly each morning, because you can just grab a container out of the fridge and go. Story 39. Believe in yourself. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true. When you believe in yourself, anything is possible because you are no longer bound to the expectations of others. Your life truly becomes your own. Close runner-up would be awareness over your thoughts and emotions. More awareness, more control, less reactions, more happiness. Story 40. Investing money is ridiculously underrated. There are dividend ETFs that will pay you a monthly dividend. An easy math gimmick is that 1,000 in an ETF that pays 6 is about 5 months. It doesn't seem like much, but if you work at it, you can build your own basic income. Bonus, dividends are taxed way less than regular income. See your personal finance and our financial independence, or you'll in fire if you don't make much money. Story 41. I have a skin-colored earpiece Bluetooth that I use at work without anyone knowing so that I can listen to music and podcasts. Story 42. At a burrito shop, get half of one protein and half of another. They usually end up giving you like 20 more. Exact science here. Plus you get mo flavor. Story 43. No matter what your bedtime and wake-up time is, stick with it. After a decade of being that person on Facebook at 3 a.m. and off to work 4 hours later, I started to view sleep as the enjoyable activity, not a chore. Game changer. Mornings are never a drag. If I have trouble sleeping, I can make up for it the next morning with our fudge up my whole day. When it's your bedtime, turn off the lights and wait, and don't touch your ducking phone or your computer. Don't get out of bed, wait. When your alarm goes off, get up. Repeat for 2 weeks. Enjoy a better life. Answer: I agree with 99 of this. Sleep hygiene is incredibly important, as is a good schedule. However, if you're like me and can lie in bed, eyes closed for hours without falling asleep, don't do that. After 30 Fosman, get up, go to some other room, and do something boring. Stare at the wall. Read the phone book. Make and drink a cup of tea. Lying in bed until you fall asleep is good if it doesn't take 3 hours, because after a while being awake in bed makes it harder to fall asleep. Basically, if you can't fall asleep, take a break and try again. Edit, misplaced comma, edit 2. I should have specified caffeine-free teas. Some teas are intended to make you sleepy, but personally, I just go for my favorite herbal blend, Blue Eyes. Story 44. Mirroring people's body language and tone of voice will make them comfortable with you quite quickly. Story 45. Call people by their name, but not annoyingly or too often. That gets creepy in a hurry. People love to hear their name, and you're a good person for remembering it. Story 46. Set the Do Not Disturb feature on your phone to turn on from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. You will sleep so much better without constant notifications from emails, games, or your mother-in-law who wants to send a group message at midnight because she is in a different time zone. If you have people you want to be able to reach you, family, girlfriend, boyfriend, you can make a special list that will let only their calls messages come through. Story 47. Boxes and clothes. You just carry different kinds of boxes and wear different stuff to places. Want to go to a paid event? Walk around with a large brown box labeled lighting equipment and a tucked-in black polo. Crash a wedding? Walk around with a medium gift-wrapped box and a cheap suit. Get into locked research facilities? Know a name? Walk around with a small white box with a lid labeled doctor, name you know, and a lab coat. Museums? Carry a brown box labeled restoration equipment and glasses. Any technology facility, carry a giant orange box and a hoodie and sweatpants. The box is the key. People will open doors. Use their key cards because you can't reach yours. Allow you into backstage, into storage, into private personnel areas. People will curiously look at you and ask what's in the box. You will not answer. You only need box. The more aggressive security looks, the more you must look like you are struggling with box. Sweat, huff, and puff. A casual box stroll for lazy guards, heavy steps and dragging to aware ones. You do not need charm or wit or acting ability or to be a good liar or good memory or even attractiveness. You only need box. You will gain access to things you never would have dreamed of. Riches normally locked behind security systems and gun-wielding men and digital cameras. But you don't care about that. You only care about getting more boxes. Story 48. Do your best to show your appreciation for the administrative assistants where you work. Be friendly. Get them Christmas gifts. Show your appreciation for the work they do. These people hold an incredible amount of power and can save your jerk. Story 49. Hide ice cream or popsicles inside an empty resealable vegetable bag from Costco or any other store with large resealable bags. Your kids will have no idea they're there, and you can disperse them accordingly or hog them for yourself without them knowing. Story 50. Just because you don't have the skill they ask for on the job description doesn't mean you shouldn't apply. You can always get the job first, then learn later, or in most cases, they will almost always train you before you officially start. You're already halfway in the battle when you apply. Story 51. Introverts think then talk. Extroverts think while they talk. Took a class that said if you want to run a good meeting, wait 10 seconds before moving on. Introverts, such as myself, need time to process before they speak. Started running my meetings this way, and I will be darned if the introverts didn't start speaking more and providing really good input. Story 52. Best one I ever got was a word of advice from my dad. Don't go out and try to make friends. Instead, go out and don't make enemies. You'll be amazed at how many friends and acquaintances you have on the other end of this, because everyone will see you as friendly and approachable and will even stand up for you as a nice person. If you go out and try to make friends, other people for no real reason, other than you being friends with said person, will dislike you because cliquish foolishness. 100 true. Edit. Just to clarify, this was just before I went off to college. I made my closest friends there. Adult life afterwards does require a slightly different strategy, but this does work in very social places like work, church, clubs, etc., still in my experience. Story 53. Eat fiber at every meal. Stay away from meals with 0G fiber. If you are at a loss, eat carrots or celery or an apple with every meal. X200B. Avoid colon cancer. The same amount of calories eaten in a day wherein one has the proper amount, 25-30 grams of fiber, will cause more weight loss than one with low to zero fiber. Easier to lose weight that way. Easier to maintain healthy weight that way. X200B. Fiber is shorthand for, am I eating healthy? If you're getting the right amount, you're almost certainly fine, and better than 90 of Americans. Story 54. If you're ever trying to get somebody to agree with you, not a lot when you make points and say their first name often. It's used frequently in sales, so on the flip side, if you don't want to be sold something and you notice the salesperson doing these things, you can be aware of what they're doing. Story 55. If someone is going to complain about you to their boss, or your boss, or call the cops for a noise violation, or something like that, All you have to do is complain about them first, and you'll usually come out the victor. In these situations, it's way less about who is right and who is wrong, and way more about who lodged the initial complaint against whom. Story 56. None of these things are actual cheat codes, though, guys. This is all how to play the game correctly. Story 57. Say thank you instead of I'm sorry in most situations. Thank you for your patience is much better than I'm sorry, I'm late. Story 58. Messing up my hair and wearing the 1,000-yard stare makes homeless people ignore you on your walk to work in the morning. Story 59. Y'all seriously don't brush your teeth in the shower? Stay nice and warm and save some time and easy cleanup. I disliked brushing as a kid, but love showers. Wish my parents knew. Story 60. Build yourself a network of people. You'd be surprised how valuable contacts are in the professional world. This can be anything from being asked for help, to getting business from someone, to applying for jobs, to even getting into places you wouldn't otherwise be able to. Story 61. I've recently discovered intermittent fasting. It's nothing crazy like going weeks without eating, but simply keeping my eating window within an 8-hour period. I've lost a lot of weight, and my doctor has commented on how my BP, HDL, LDL, and general well-being has improved dramatically just by skipping breakfast, or more technically, eating breakfast around 1 or 2 p.m. instead of 9 a.m. And yes, both my doctor as well as several others are saying it's perfectly safe and healthy, despite it going against current common knowledge. Answer, more on this. I've lost 80 pounds since February of this year. 65 of that was lost by April. How? Diet and intermittent fasting. I eat at 12 o'clock, my sacred salad lunch hour, and no later than 7 p.m., usually just a protein shake depending on the size and contents of my salad. That ends up being roughly a 17-hour fast. I do some light cardio daily, no more than an hour being totally honest, to keep the fat burn at its maximum. No sugar, no coffee, drink water, and only water. And you'll see results. I was 64, 350 lbs. Now I am a comfy 270 with more weight being lost weekly. I sleep better, perform better, am a performer by trade, and most of all, feel better physically and mentally. Story 62. Being able to make a girl climax during intimacy is like a love potion. Being on time is seen as being a better worker than staying an hour late. Under-promise and over-deliver. Show, don't tell. Story 63. Masturbate before any major decisions in life. Women, big purchases, anything. Just rub one out, then decide. 1. Story 64. Want to be more attractive? Look like you take care of yourself and work on an attitude where you don't care so much what other people think or do. That's a lot of it, right there. As for the look, just be in decent shape, have good hygiene, including a good and well-maintained haircut, and wear clean clothes that don't look old and are reasonably adult in style. For the attitude, you want to be relaxed without being lazy. Don't sweat the small stuff, but talk to them about the big stuff right away. Listen rather than just waiting for your turn to talk. Get to know people at whatever pace is good for them. Don't force things. See people for who they really are, not who you want them to be or what they can be for you. Story 65. Control-F or Command-F on a computer. It gives you the power to easily find any keyword or phrase on the page. However, it has the side effect of ruining your ability to visually scan a physical document. Story 66. This world is built on expectations. There's basically 2 types, the ones you have and the ones you set for others. The first type, you should evaluate and make sure they're reasonable. Not everyone becomes a billionaire, although you won't become one without trying. The second type is even more important. If you set other people's expectations too high, you might not meet them and you'll seem like you failed. It's better to set them a little low. That way you can outperform them and seem exceptional. Just don't set them too low or people might not respect you enough to even let you try. TL.dr. Master expectations, master life. Story 67. Your likability rating is infinitely more valuable than your intelligence score. Invest those talent points in looking good, being on time, and generally being fun to be around. You'll cruise past those int-stacking assholes in no time. Story 68. If you sell substances, 1. Don't look like you sell substances. No gold chains, baggy cloths, flat caps, plant substance shirts, legalize it bumper stickers, etc. Dress like a background actor. 2. Normal car, not too nice, not to shoot where you'll get pulled over. 3. Never smell like substances. 4. Have a job. One that works on tips would help. Find a way to pay taxes on your money. The IRS doesn't fudge around. 5. If someone seems sketchy or like a cop, don't do the deal. 6, last but not least, if you ever get caught, you're out of the game. Judges might be chill the first time if you're lucky, but never the second and third. Also, the cops know you sell substances now, so the gig's up. Story 69. Press on your taint to get the last drops of piss out after you're done urinating. The gooch button. Story 70. Spend a lot of your time on Sunday making sandwiches for the rest of the week? Then you're prepared, you turkey. Story 71. When watching the news, if they show you the thing happening, believe it. If they are talking about a thing happening, don't believe it. It's 2018. Everyone has 1080p cameras in their pockets. If it isn't being shown to you, it is bullshit. Story 72. Postage paid return stickers from spam companies are sometimes no limit. Attach a brick to that chute and send it to them on their dime. Story 73. If you work in a place for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, at the end of a month, money appears in your bank account. Story 74. If you want to tell someone, hey fudge, you but can't, because you'd get in trouble for it because you're like at work or something, you can just say, bless your heart instead, and it means the same thing. Story 75. Portable power bank cell phone charger in my car. Basically, I got tired of my car's slow speed of charging my phone off the cigarette lighter, so I bought a 10,000 mAh power bank with fast charging capability. I plugged it into my car's cigarette port so that whenever my car is on its charging, then I just plug my phone in for a fast charge on the road, and the power bank might go down, but will gradually recharge over time when my car is on. So basically, it's as if I created a sort of water tower, but for power. I was unhappy with the speed at which power was coming in, so I installed something to let it build up pressure and speed up the flow. Another bonus is that it can be easily removed and taken with me. So, if I am at, say, a restaurant and need to charge my phone, I can take it in with me and continue the charge. Story 76. Use a spoon instead of a knife to spread stuff on bread. Everyone mocks me for this, but as soon as they try it, they realize how much easier it actually is. Story 77. Create a visible tell for when you are lying. Looking around, scratching your lip, etc. And then drop some little white lies while using this tell. More playful than deceptive, and get caught out and admit it. Like move something of then lie about it. No, I didn't move your coat. This builds up the tell in their mind, and they know when you are lying. Then make sure if you ever have to lie to that person, you focus on not doing your obvious tell. Story 78. If a product breaks long before it should have, but outside of the return policy, buy a new one and return the old one in the new one's packaging. I did this with a kitchen appliance recently, Fudge Cuisinart. It stopped working after 3 months. The warranty required me to pay shipping both ways, equivalent to half the cost of the item. So I bought a new one, swapped it, returned the broken one. Retailer will send it back to the manufacturer. Slightly unethical, I don't abuse this, but I am tired of buying products that seem to be designed to break. Story 79. Airport parking is really expensive overnight. Take an extra 10 minutes once you get back, walk to the ticket dispenser, print a new ticket, and use the new one when exiting. I've saved a considerable amount of coin doing this. This cheat code may increase your wanted level. Story 80. When someone tells you something or a story for the second or third or 100th time, don't say, yeah, you told me this before. It sounds rude, like you don't want to hear it. Say, oh, I remember you telling me this before. If you say remember, it makes it sound like it was important enough for you to put it to memory, not you are bored with them. Another one, try not to say I'm sorry. Instead, replace it with thank you. We say sorry a lot and it makes you sound like it's your fault. Instead of sorry I'm late, say thank you for waiting for me. Or sorry I forgot, say thanks for reminding me. It makes you sound appreciative of the person and no fault towards yourself. Obviously, sometimes you have to say sorry, but most instances you can shoot for thank you. Story 81. When folding a piece of paper, lay it flat against the surface and push down across the crease with your fingernail. The fold becomes much cleaner. Story 82. Networking is so important if you want a solid career in your industry. Being a known person really gives you a leg up in so many situations. Story 83. Being nice and present. When someone is talking to you, give a shoot. Listen to them. Empathize with how they're feeling. Don't think about the meeting you have to go to or how they're interrupting your day. Story 84. I like to book weekend getaways. The people I work with do Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, come home Sunday. I leave Sunday, come home later in the day Tuesday, going into work Wednesday. Usually cheaper prices to stay and easier to schedule work coverage. I get it if there is an event on the weekend, but often there isn't a specific event people are looking to go to, and everyone fights over Fridays. Story 85. I used to work news, and they gave us a large sign to put in our cars that read, "On assignment." This would allow us to park basically anywhere we wanted without worrying about illegal parking tickets. I no longer work news, but I still have the sign. I get to park pretty much anywhere I want to now. Story 86. Don't have any friends cheap Christmas and you won't have to waste money or time on pesky social events. Added bonus, you don't have to invent excuses to get out of said events as you weren't invited anyway. Story 87. Grow a victory garden. It feels great to eat food you've grown yourself. Plus, you've reduced your food insecurity, and it impresses people. Really, growing food isn't hard, it's just work. Delicious work. Story 88. I cannot stress this enough. All it takes is 20 seconds of mindless, insane, embarrassing courage to do something amazing in this world. Just think about how often you decide not to do something because of fear. 20 seconds without thinking is such a small price to pay for what could be a lifetime of happiness. So go and do it. Ask them out, give someone a compliment, tell someone you love them. A moment of clarity is so much better than a lifetime of regret. Take it from me. Story 89. When applying for jobs, take the entire job description on the website and copy and paste it into your resume with white color and the smallest font size possible. That way, when the computer filters scan your resume, you'll have all of the keywords to get past the filter, and in order to get a real set of human eyes on your resume, which is often the hardest roadblock to beat. Story 90. Reducing carbohydrates and cut added sugars from your diet, combined with at least moderate exercise, and boom, weight loss. Story 91. Not having kids makes life much simpler. Remember, people, having kids is a choice. Don't feel pressured to have them unless you're completely sure. Story 92. If you activate the cry interaction, people will often be too startled and also eager to console you to pry too much into your business or scold you. Works better if you have the female avatar and it is below average in stature. Answer. This is why I cry so often instead of other reactions to insert negative emotion here. It's not intentional, but it is a learned behavior. Other actions, violence, yelling and screaming, speaking up for myself, trying to tell my side of the story, didn't work in my household. I'd get in more trouble. Crying didn't get me in more trouble. At this point, it feels like instinct and I don't know how to stop it from happening. Story 93. If you're in a rut, find a verb to describe what you're doing instead of using the conventional passive wording to describe your condition. Some examples. Instead of I am depressed, try I am despairing. Instead of conceptualizing yourself as having anxiety issues, try I'm freaking out. Instead of am useless, try I am berating myself. This forces accountability on yourself, and in doing so opens up new options. Namely, what are you going to do instead of the thing you're doing now? That isn't working so well. Credit for hack goes to psychiatrist and author William Glasser. Story 94. Losing weight is fairly easy if you are honestly tracking everything you eat and don't overestimate the calories you burn in exercise. I would recommend buying a cheap food scale because serving sizes as advertised tend to be a lot larger than serving sizes listed on the nutritional label. But once I got over that, it was like I was on a calorie budget. I had 1,400, 1,500 to spend a day, and there are a few food tracking apps that make it super simple to scan your food and go. I spent 6 to 7 years trying to get control of my weight. Once I started actually logging, it came off with relative ease. I wish I knew this earlier. Story 95. It's really simple to help people who are having a hard time with life stuff. What the vast majority of people want is just to be heard and be validated, especially with your family, close friends, significant other. It's so easy to hear them complain about something and go, well, have you tried X? Why don't you just Y? Maybe you should Z. You're thinking about this all wrong. It's really not X, Y, or Z. You need to Q. Nobody wants that. A very simple, oh man, that sounds really hard. Or if you're going for the Dude of the Year award, so it sounds like, repeat what they said they're feeling in simpler terms. Is that right? And follow with, oh man, I totally see why you feel the way you do. People light up like Christmas trees when they're just simply validated and heard. You don't need to solve anyone's problems. And by and large, people don't want you to. They just want someone to hear them and want to feel like what they're feeling is real and that they're not being irrational or crazy. Even if they are being a bit irrational or crazy, if you want to be a good friend, just hear them. Validate their feelings. Move on. People will change when they want to change, not because you told them to. Story 96. If you're otherwise healthy, no underlying medical issues, yet generally feel sluggish or down, drink water. Lots of people walk around dehydrated, and it really affects your health. Story 97. Confidence, even if it's fake. If you're not so attractive, throw the confidence. I'm not very attractive at all, but I use that feminine confidence. Works like a charm. Story 98. Almost every light-up gas station price sign has an outlet on it where you can charge a phone or laptop. X200B. If you break a Walmart trash compactor in the first week of December, you get a gigantic dumpster full of thousands of dollars worth of Christmas presents. X200B. 97.8% of all statistics are made up on the spot to win an argument. X200B. Duct tape and a mag light is a legal headlight. X200B. Dried strawberry leaves taste and smell enough like pot to make up a couple grams from an ounce. X200B. The smell of burnt gunpowder will scare off coyotes, even if it's just a firecracker. Most of the time. X200B. You can drive on a used donut for more than 30 miles. It's just not recommended. X200B. Cloves can sterilize a wound. X200B. Black pepper can staunch a wound. X200B. Sugar, white or brown, will keep a severed finger reattachable for up to 6 hours, longer if frozen chilled. X200B, sugar, white or brown, when packed en masse on the stump of a severed body part, can not only prevent you from bleeding out, but can also prevent shock. X200B, bananas can help reduce seizures, arrhythmia and asthma attacks. Never tested this myself. X200B, salt, sand, and charcoal can filter water if you can't boil it. Doesn't stop everything, but saved me from giardia before. X200B, drinking enough adult beverage with 40, 80 proof or more can cure giardia, quarter gallon or so. X200B, shoe polish can help prevent wearing tires from popping until you replace them. Not for long and not very well, but will buy you a couple miles. X200B. Any ballpoint pen rubber band makes a decent little stabby shooter device. Non-lethal, but can pierce skin. Not useful whatsoever. X200B. Pouring whiskey on her female body part before having intimacy is a quick way to check for open sores. If she says it burns, wrap your tool. If she says it's cold, probably good, not a 100 foolproof. X200B. Severed dreadlocks make excellent signal fires. X200B. Helium balloons tied to the Ziploc bag is one of the most effective ways to ditch your stash. X200B. Rubber bullets prevent robberies just as well as real ones. Bean bags and rock salt too. X200B. Maxi pads are a great way to slow the bleeding until you can get to a hospital. X200B. Most robbers don't like being driven to a hospital with maxi pads stuck to them. X200B. Taking Ipecac can get you out of PT work. X200B. Smoking 2 or 3 Raleighs of lavender will make you shoot liquid rather quickly. X200B. No matter how big or bad you think you are, getting hit in the neck, sternum, knee or ankle with a hard object will immobilize you for at least 30 seconds. X200B. Leaving a dead rodent or rabbit on your porch will usually dissuade Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses. X200B. You don't have to file taxes if you make less than $20K a year. X200B, as long as it is all cash transactions with no receipt, the IRS can't prove shoot, and they will lie to scare you about it. X200B, most Nerf guns are more fun if you replace the dart tips with rubber eraser caps and some glue. X200B, Fritos are very flammable and will burn very hot for quite some time. X200B, dark chocolate creates the same chemical balance in the brain as being in love. X200B, you can use an NES coax cord on CNES, Sega Genesis, and PS1 Gray Box Original. X200B, the wire from a survey flag, little orange flag on gas lines as such, is the best tool for cleaning a bong. X200B, holding your finger about an inch away from someone's face and saying, "I'm not touching you," is not legally assault. X200B, most trains will stop about a mile up the track if you place a conductive metal rod wire across both rails. Good tip if stuck in wilderness and need a ride to civilization. X200B, ostracizing racists is a great way to prevent racism. X200B, cornflakes and Dawn dish detergent in rain sprinklers will require up to a foot of sod to be replaced, and it stinks to high heavens. X200B, most dogs will release their jaw if they have a broken rib or a plugged nose or a finger in their jerk. Deep, hooked, and pulling helps. X200B, typing constantly will wake up your significant other. Answer. Okay, there have been quite a few requests to explain myself about multiple items on the list, or the list in general. Honestly, folks, prepare to downvote. It is not as interesting as the list leads it to be. You see, with only the list, your imagination can run with things, and it seems elusive and interesting. Well, Prepare to see the strings that hold up Santa's sleigh outside the mall. I was incredibly homeless from the time I was 17 until I was about 24. I traveled 39 continental states, lived in the wilds and in the alleys. I met crazy people, went crazy places, and did crazy shoot. Went to jail a couple times. Got lost 100 miles from nowhere a couple times. Encountered some crazy life-threatening medical situations, and generally had a really wild ride that sometimes even I'm surprised I survived. I trained with war vets, met every old fogey with crazy stories, learned from anyone with a degree who would talk to me, read a lot of books about medical herbs, and cross-reference with local wildlife guides, and just enjoyed meeting people. Truckers are still some of my favorite people on the planet. When I was 24, I met the woman who would be my wife and the mother of my son. I got clean, ditched the substances, started going to college, quit college, started working, and life is what it is now. I'm just another boring poor fudge driving a 350 broken jerk truck, but I'm happier now. I studied computers as a child, and when I was homeless, I would do computer stuff for cash whenever I could find the work. So when I got married and started working, I went right back into the one real trade I know, taught myself Python, and am teaching myself C. I have a decent job now, kids, a wife, my dog of 9 years, been through at least 30 of those 39 states with me. And yay, life is what it is. When you live in a society that literally makes it impossible to stay anywhere without paying for it or being arrested, you move around a lot, and when you're constantly in motion, you encounter the weird shoot, especially when substances, money, or intimacy is involved. I can say I approve of everything I did when I was younger, but shoot happens, and obviously I learned a lot, and I don't regret a minute of it. TLDR. Everything on the list was caused by me being a product of American poverty. Story 99. Randomly punch any old phone buttons during automated phone calls, and they'll put you through to a real person, deeming you incapable of using the robot interface. Works every time. Story 100. When I was an attractive teenager, people treated me way better now than I'm an ugly adult, so don't be ugly. Story 101. I'm a woodworker, and I've learned that the only surefire way that I'll put my eye protection back on before making dust is to put them down on the actual tool. If they're just on the table, I might not think about them, but if they're on top of the router or in the path of the saw I'm using, grabbing them to move them is enough of a trigger to put them on. Story 102. If you want a better price on television or internet service, call the 800 number of the company and ask to speak to the retention department. If you get a male, hang up and try again. If you get a female, politely tell them you were offered another deal at X company and provide a lower price. 810 times the company you are dealing with will get you a better deal. If it fails, tell them you are planning on canceling all services. This will really increase your chances, as the retention department's goal is to keep customers. Sometimes they even get a commission for this service. Signed, an ex-Comcast employee who was male and never gave discounts. Story 103. The harder you squeeze the weights or bars or whatever you are gripping when you work out, with every finger, even the pinky, and all the other fibers in the hand just squeezing as hard as they can all the way around, the stronger and more durable your hands and forearms will be, even if you only do low-weight stuff. The purpose of muscle building is to flex against the resistance. When you push a barbell for bench pressing, don't just push with your arms. Flex your entire body, drive your feet through the floor as you try to crush the earth with your toes and heel. Flex your chest and back, your obliques, abs, shoulders, deltoids, etc. Flex everything you can to turn your body into a solid unit of force that is pressing against the bench, the floor, and the barbell, while the rest of your entire body is flexing for support. Squeeze that barbell like you want to strangle the person who burned your family alive. Squeeze your biceps and triceps and push it off of you like you're pushing it in to the face of the person who did that. If you're a noob, slow down and gradually get used to flexing harder and harder. You don't want to pop or tear something if you aren't used to what good and dangerous levels of flexing feels like. But the one thing you should always try not to flex are your neck and head muscles. Feel your jaw, your vocal cords. Everything should be relaxed as much as you can help it. That's what people mess up on. They flex with their faces and neck as they exert themselves when they shouldn't be doing that at all. Take deep, powerful, continuous breaths as you flex your entire core and diaphragm. Focus on flexing your entire torso and breathing slow and deeply. Focus on doing that instead of flexing your neck and face. Same with pull-ups. Start by first locking every finger around the bar and try to crush it into powder Then flex the entire rest of your body as you do pull-ups and leg raises and stuff. When you finish, you will feel swole as hell. Everything will feel pumped with blood, loosened up, and every fiber in your body will be plenty stimulated. You will make gains like 10x faster. So many people try to only barely use enough muscle to do the exercise. First of all, you can pull or break something without tightening up your entire torso and back and legs and shoulders and fingers when you're lifting anything heavy. Flexing more stability, more stimulation, more power, more adrenaline, more everything. Way better protection against pulling something or breaking something. Not flexing properly while lifting, you're begging your muscles to rip and your bones to pop out like air hockey pucks. Just watch videos of gymnasts doing their Olympic ring routines and stuff, and Olympic heavy lifters. Minus their facial muscles straining, you should flex like they do when doing exercises. It also helps with running. It gives you more power and support to be conscious of your feet and ankles and keep them flexed so that they can handle the impact more, and practice using those muscles to blast you off the ground with each step. Michael Jordan was so quick not because of genetics, but because he was more actively using those muscles to bounce him off the floor with each step. Try hanging for as long as you can, and when it gets a little fatigue pained or you feel like it's starting to slip, try to squeeze your hands and biceps and deltoids and all of that even harder and harder, mostly focusing on your hands and forearms. You will last longer, more muscle fibers will get evenly stimulated and will support each other, and your wrists and fingers will feel way more loose and powerful, and you will tremendously increase your strength and endurance. TLDR, flex properly when working out, flex and squeeze very hard, even on light weights, and you will get better gains in endurance and less chance of injury and feel more loose. Pro tip for any homebound, broke people. Anakarnetak, get the door frame pull-up bar for like $15 and put it on your closet or bedroom door frame. All you have to do is focus on your hands at first. Start with just hanging and squeezing the bar with all your fingers and just get used to hanging on and gripping as hard and tight as you can. Go ahead and swing a tiny bit, using your abs and back to gently pull your body up in front of you or up behind you. After a while, you can gradually try to pull yourself up. Always put your main focus on your fingers and palm and thumb and all the other fibers in your hands. Your hands and forearms are your one tools and are the foundation upon which you build the rest of your body. Nothing is more important than your ability to master the art of squeezing things with all of your fingers together and flexing everything in your hands. Your biceps and forearms and shoulders and triceps and stuff only contract to their fullest when the hands are fully engaged. Everything is connected, even between the lower and upper arms. Working out your hands sympathetically works out the rest of the arm muscles and gives them a foundation upon which they can contract. Eventually work up to flexing your entire body and make sure each section of your body you flex, the entire muscle group is flexing. Just like you want all the fingers to flex hard, you want your full bicep engaged, full tricep, etc. It's hard to feel it all and hold the flex everywhere at once at first, but as long as you are putting in the effort to flex hard and just hold it as you hold on to the pull-up bar while gripping it to passing, you will gradually get better at it. Believe me when I say the difference between controlled full muscle flexing and not flexing while working out is beyond the difference between night and day. Besides a cheap pull-up bar for $15, the only other thing you'd want is a spot on the floor to do a push-up and a better chair or anything to at least slightly elevate your feet above you. Then just practice either making a flexed fist or an open palm, and work on either holding the fist tight without letting the floor and the weight force your hand to crumble and cave in on itself, or work on getting your fingers to all press together in the open palm position as if you are trying to make your fingers do push-ups as well. You can even get on your knees and then use all 5 fingertips on each hand to hold yourself up and do fingertip push-ups. Make sure to press with every finger, especially the pinky and ring. Hold the pose or do push-ups. In just days, you will feel so much more powerful, flexible, clear-headed, motivated. Trust me, exercising and putting effort into flexing and extending all of your muscles releases so many good hormones and stuff, improves your circulatory system, burns fat all over the body more evenly. Everything gets better. It helps with ADHD, depression, insomnia, etc. Last one. Buy any cheap pair of dumbbells. Even a pair of 5 LEBs would be perfect, especially 5 LEBs, because right off the bat, you can move your arms in any direction and work out your shoulders. Most important muscles in the arms are first the hands for arms, the shoulders, and then the TRIs and BIAs. Do arm rotations and every other shoulder exercise you can YouTube with those FBL dumbbells while choking the fudge life out of them. Your shoulders and deltoids and chute will feel way more powerful, and your arm sockets will get more cushion. And then don't forget to once in a while drop all the weights and just smoothly swing your arms, torso, legs, etc. in every direction while focusing hard on flexing them as you move them. And do all the movements from your hips and core muscles, not your hands. Punch and swing from your body, not your arms. Try to swing your arms left and right using only your torso, but then gradually use your arm muscles to go with those movements. Gradually increase and decrease the range in which you swing your torso left and right. You'll go from full horizontal windmills to rapid wushu punches. And hold a flex while you do it. You'll feel your arms and torso get powerful and loose. Eventually, when you become decently fit, do it with those light dumbbells. And then squats and deadlifts, just with the light weights. Keep the movement smooth, controlled, muscles flexed. When you speed up and you are doing negative reps, like dropping into a crouch, drop with gravity, or even drop faster, but learn how to smoothly decelerate as you go down and back up, accelerate in the middle, and decelerate. You basically want to accelerate in the middle of your range of motion and decelerate smoothly as you reach either end of the movement. That helps keep things from being damaged, but holy shoot, does it stimulate those muscles. It's basically a mix of dynamic stretching and warm-ups. Resistance cardio, basically. Honestly, resistance cardio, if done right, is the champion of all exercise routines. Jog with 3 lb weights in your hands and learn how to gently land and gently bounce off, like you're a spring. Always try to do your reps like a spring. Quickly in the middle, but smooth and slower as you hit each extreme. Like how people jump on trampolines. That's how all movements should look, springy, but controlled. Any one of you can tremendously increase your strength and endurance and flexibility and energy and focus and happiness and self-confidence with even just a pair of 5 lb dumbbells. But also get the pull-up bar and do push-ups, or even just hold push-ups. Trust me, any one of you can quickly make gains with light weights. If you just do a variety of movements or holds and flex through all of the motions or holds, it will change your life and you will love it. Story 104. Half of this is just life advice and not suitable to the question. Cheat codes in life. Lay on a flat surface and in between 30 and 120 minutes, you should enable warp speed and travel approximately 5-10 hours into the future, depending on your experience and energy remaining when you begin the attempt. If jumping from a high distance when playing as the human race, if you roll on your shoulder when landing, fall damage can be reduced by about 50-75, depending on how many skill points you have allocated into agility and dexterity, not intended by devs most likely. To reduce the fat attribute as a human, a simple little glitch I've found is to take a shitload of low-calorie food, rice works best, and dump 1,000 calories worth in a bowl. Begin eating. You should find yourself full far before you finish. Walk for around 15 minutes to a half hour to settle stomach. Repeat daily for 30 in-game days. Not quite a cheat code nor a bug, but here's a helpful bit of advice just to keep the thread's natural trend going. Dress well, give off the appearance of power and wealth, and you will be treated as though you have both. In Atlanta, I've personally been able to sneak into all sorts of events with big names like Migos, 2 Chainz, Ray Shremmerd, etc., just by wearing a gold watch, chain, a nice suit, and acting like I belong. You can too. Confidence with an appearance to back it up goes a long, long way. Hope this helps. I'm still working on finding more bugs and exploitable glitches. Story 105. Say I appreciate you as opposed to I appreciate it when someone does something for you. It feels so much better to hear that someone appreciates me and not what I did. Story 106. When engaged with law enforcement, answer all questions with yes, ma'am, no, sir. Answer each question using the least amount of words possible. Give 0 extra information. Don't be afraid to be arrested. LEOs prey upon that fear. Keep calm. If you are at a party getting busted up or a club that's being raided, calmly drop all contraband on the floor and walk out and keep walking. I've walked through horrendous situations and just gone home because I didn't make myself look like a suspect. Even if cops are yelling behind you or have a spotlight on you, just keep walking calmly away. You can always claim you didn't hear them. I've never been stopped doing this. This is my one tip. If a LEO asks you a question and you answer with a question and they answer back with a question, they are on a fishing trip. LEO, may we search your car? You, do you have the right to search my car? LEO, why are you hiding something? Answer thank you, no. If they have the right to do something, they will not ask your permission. Never let a Leo convince you that they are your friend. They are not. Never trust a Leo unless you have no other choice. Remember, they are a gang, not your friend. You wouldn't trust a gangbanger. Same thing here. Story 107. Not much of a cheat code, but more of an exploit. Packing lunch the night before takes 50 less time than packing the morning of. Story 108. Need a reference for a job or an apartment? Well, making fake emails, getting a Skype number, and creating a snazzy website are all very easy to do. I reference myself for everything, and it turns out I'm really employable. I'm not going to let some arbitrary rule stop me from getting a job or a roof over my head. Don't care how unethical you may think it is. I don't care for the struggle. There's ways around it. Story 109. Don't date people-based features that you would want to brag to friends or family about. Be honest about this with yourself. Story 110. Marrying myself had a significantly positive effect in my life. No, I'm not a narcissist. TD. I used to be a person who always beated herself up in an emotional way, would always overthink my actions, would curse at myself when I made mistakes, look in the mirror and always choose to see my thick thighs rather than my beautiful eyes, and thus make myself insecure about my qualities. One day I was at a wedding, and the vows the groom and the bride had written to each other were beautifully put. I can't remember what they exactly said to each other, but they were basically saying how they're going to be with one another in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health, how they will always protect, love, trust each other no matter what. At that moment, I thought to myself, wow, those are actually big promises. I wouldn't make promises like these even if I was marrying myself. Oh my God, I can't promise these things to myself. After that day, I actually bought myself a ring. Not a fancy one, but beautiful enough to remind myself that I'm allowed to make mistakes. I'm perfect with my rights and wrongs. I'm happy with my life. I love myself, so on and so forth. Sorry this was long. Just love yourself, you guys. Story 111. If you are ever waiting for someone and they just are not showing up, try to self-care. They will show up almost immediately, almost all the time. Side note, this cheat is best used if you are waiting for someone to pick you up at home, not at the bus stop. Story 112. I know this he will get voted down into oblivion, but I'll post it anyway. The secret of understanding the rhetoric used in the Bible is basically this. You have an almighty spiritual friend who specifically created you the way you are and thought this guy girl is perfect. Said friend can read all your thoughts and knows exactly who you are. And guess what? It still thinks you are 100 perfect and loves you unconditionally. The day you can mindfuck yourself into believing this is the day you will stop being affected by any type of BS happening around you. Story 113. Turn your clock around at night before you go to bed. This also includes putting your phone face down against the table or bed. It's so that you can't keep fidgeting and looking over at the clock to see what time it is, and then get angry at yourself for not falling asleep after a certain amount of time passes. It also prevents you from waking up, rolling over, and seeing that it's already 5 a.m. and you only have a little time left to sleep and getting anxious that you have to wake up soon, etc. I started doing this like 2 years ago, and it's helped lower my sleep anxiety tremendously. Story 114. You can easily identify a lie from a fact by checking the source. If it's a fact, there's proof from a reputable source to back it up. If it's not, there either isn't any source at all or a non-trustworthy source. Trump's tax reduction resulted in our national budget deficit increasing by 17 from $666 billion in 2017 to $779 billion in 2018, as per the U.S. Treasury's October 2018 report. That's a fact. See the precise figures and trustworthy source, citing the precise origin of the data. EX2. As the economy gears up, more people working, better jobs and careers, those revenues come rolling in, and the deficit, which is the other criticism, is coming down, and it's coming down rapidly. Kudlow, Trump's top economic advisor, said on Fox Business Network. No figures given, no sources cited, no research performed. This claim was fact-checked and quickly called out as inaccurate, as all projections at the time pointed to increased deficits and were proven accurate. When Kudlow was contacted for comment on his claim or supporting information, he refused to respond. This is what a lie looks like. Defies the known data and reports and won't provide a source or any corroborating evidence. Story 115. 1. Always doing things for your future self, like don't leave your gas on almost E. When you have work in the morning, go get the gas the night before. Always rise out your dishes right after you're done eating so you don't have to deal with scrubbing caked on food off. I can honestly say anticipation for future situations is one of the best traits you can have, and you will be a much happier person when you do the right. Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. If you'd like to see more content like this, you might be interested to know that I've created another channel with a similar theme, especially for those of you who enjoy what I do. I'll leave a link in the description, and I hope to see you there. Take care.